Heather or Taylor will have a microphone go around. Bill, you're first, please.
Bill Doyle, Worcester Telegram. Brad, can you just talk about what Marcus did in the fourth quarter offensively and defensively in overtime against Millsap?
And, well, he guarded Millsap, the last 13 minutes of the game, including overtime probably, maybe the last 8 minutes of the fourth quarter. Obviously, you're throwing darts a little bit with a guy that's rolling like that. But one thing about that is when you scored 45 through 3 quarters, you probably are a little winded. So he probably got to guard him at a good time, but he still fought quite well. Kept him off the glass on all those shots, which was excellent, and just made him take tough, contested shots. And then offensively made huge plays. We're gonna need to continue to have Evan and Marcus make big plays because Isaiah's going to be off the ball some, and I thought Marcus's shots were huge in keeping us in it. Jonas and Marcus both really made big plays as we were coming back.
Back, Brian.
Do you have a back score, by the way?
Yes.
Brian Robb, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Brad, on just overcoming Millsap's performance as a whole, and how was you guys close to potentially doubling him, or was that obviously with their shooters?
He was scoring so many different ways. I mean, I think we had him for 19 points in the post, all on different guys. So we were trying a bunch of different things. We were trying to dig hard. The most disheartening shot was probably when we dug really well and made him pass it, and then Schroeder hit the big 3 to go up because, now you're springing him attention and you've got shooting all over the court, and that's hard. So he scored on face-ups, he scored on catch-and-shoot threes, he scored on drives, and then he scored on the post. So the only place that we were really, going to have to consider doubling was probably the post. And I didn't want to do that because of the shooting. So we were going to try everyone until we got stops.
Mike Hoppinger, USA Today. You said that Avery Bradley was definitely out for games 3 and 4, but do you think there's a possibility he's ready for?
No, I don't think so, based on what I've heard, based on what I know. So, no, I haven't talked to him, and I haven't talked to our trainers about him because this is the way it was presented to me, 5 days ago. So obviously I've got to focus on who's available, and Avery's been great. Avery's been diligent in his rehab, and he's trying to get back, and they feel like he's progressing from what I know, but that's still been I'm still under that impression, but I don't have any more information for you is probably the best way to say it.
Back right, Coach.
Mark Suleimanov, Give Me Sport. Having been back here for the last 2 games with this incredible atmosphere, do you think it was one of the deciding factors, especially with the way Schroeder was constantly booed and the way he was shut down, especially after having a game like where he scored 20 and today he only scored 7 points?
We paid a lot of attention to Korver and Teague on film because of, they really have had great games against us. They've really put us in a bind. I think that obviously playing here in the crowd and the excitement levels here and the enthusiasm level is second to none and certainly helps us greatly. But I think at the end of the day, our guys really did a good job of adjusting to them, and they're not easy to adjust to. Teague made, even though Teague had kind of a tough day at times, he made huge shots when it mattered most to cut it to 1 twice. And those guys are hard to guard.
Bob?
Bob Schrein, Citizen. Coach, it's a game of runs, but third quarter, you're down, I can't remember, 13 or so. What was in your thinking, or how did you approach it?
This team's not, one of our most redeeming qualities as a team is the guys are really, they're fighters. They never give up. They play to the end. Even in games where we didn't really have it, they've done that. I mean, we saw it a couple weeks ago against Miami. We even saw it on Tuesday night. We got killed at the start, but then we could never chip away at the lead, but we kept defending and kept playing the whole night. So that's one thing that they're going to play, and you hope you make enough shots, and you hope you can go on some defensive stop runs to get back in it.
Right-hand side, Coach, over here. Kevin?
Kevin O'Connor, SB Nation. Brad, obviously Marcus Smart's performance on Paul Millsap will get a lot of attention, but in the first half, he really locked down Kyle Korver off ball. What did you think about his performance on Korver?
Well, I thought Marcus just played a great game, period. And, we've talked about it before. Like, you know, Marcus has had his ups and downs, but Marcus on this stage and with his consistent work ethic and with his competitive spirit, you really trust that good things will happen. And so we trust in him, and he did a great job tonight on both ends on anybody that he was assigned to. I did think Korver got some looks late, not necessarily on Marcus, but just matchup wise. But hopefully you've made him work enough throughout the course of the game that an open look isn't quite as comfortable as it would be otherwise.
Left-hand side, Steve.
Steve Belpet, Boston Herald. Talking about Marcus again, he can be very aggressive, rambunctious, air quotes included. Have you come to the conclusion you're just going to have to deal with that or be patient through those things to get the good stuff as well?
I think if we affect that, we'd affect the contagiousness of our whole team. So, like, his aggression, his competitiveness, his spirit, like, our team needs it. And so, yeah, there's going to be some times where he might take a shot or whatever the case may be that he'd like to have back, but he does a lot of good things that lead to winning and give you a chance to win. So, and defensive versatility is at the top of that list.
And Brett, what went in the actual decision to put him on Millsap, and what do you think made him so effective during that 13-minute stretch?
Well, like I said earlier, we obviously were running out of bodies because everybody had gotten a crack at him, and he had 45. So I think it's a combination of things. Number one is Mark's an excellent defender with great strength, so he's able to make post catches difficult. He's able to guard him on the drive. Maybe not as much in the deep post, but he didn't let him catch it in the deep post. And then he did a great job getting him off the glass. Now, in credit to Millsap, when you've scored 45 in 3 quarters, which I've never done, nor have I ever dreamed of doing, I'm imagining it's tiring. So, I think that, certainly he deserves a lot of credit for that performance. Millsap was awesome.
Brad, Mike Petralia, WEEI. Obviously, Marcus is going to get a lot of credit for the job he did on Millsap, but the last play of regulation, the job Isaiah did on Teague, and the ability of both guards to deny Millsap the ball. Can you talk about that play?
Well, they were sprinting to slip Korver off of a screen to try to give Teague an alley to drive, and Isaiah did a good job of keeping him squared up. Didn't give him an alley to drive, and then made a nice I think Teague slipped or whatever, but he was forced way out. Isaiah did a really nice job in that position.
Final question, Sherrod.
Yeah, Coach Sherrod Blakely, Comcast Sportsnet. Jay Crowder didn't have a monster game in terms of scoring, but what he was able to give you at the start of the game, talk about how important that was, not only for him, but also your team.
Yeah, I mean, we think he's really important. He's able to defend a lot of positions, and he's able to make open shots and space the floor for us. And, it was good to see a couple of those go down early.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks.
Not sure who's coming next, but Paul Millsap, Isaiah Thomas, and Marcus Smart are the 3 scheduled players coming. I'm not sure the batting order yet, but